is one lone hand has raised
subversive.
Up here. Actually, that is one more than I expected, I have to be honest.
Really?
Fuck no. Sorry. We are uncensored, but oh my God, the idea there's any comparison.
The chatter had been building all morning, and by the time Piers Morgan hit the airwaves, everyone knew the royal gossip world was about to explode. But no one, not even the most die-hard Meghan Markle watchers, expected the hurricane that was about to hit Monaco. Because when Piers Morgan dropped his latest bombshell from a so-called hidden interview, Meghan Markle didn't just react, she completely lost it. It all started innocently enough, if you can call it that. Morgan teased the segment on Twitter with his usual blend of provocation and promise. You think you've heard it all about the Sussexes? Think again. Exclusive revelations coming that will shock the world, he posted. The tweet alone sent Meghan's legal team scrambling. For weeks, they had tried to control leaks, contain old interviews, and manage every whisper that floated anywhere near her name. But Piers, with his uncanny ability to stir the pot, had already set the stage for chaos.
Harry and Meghan, when their behaviour became obnoxious, self-serving, and rankly hypocritical.
And chaos was exactly what unfolded. Morgan began the segment with his signature mix of bravado and skepticism, the kind that makes viewers lean in a little closer, popcorn in hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, as the camera zoomed slightly for effect. "You thought the Sussexes were done making headlines? That they'd retreated to California and the world would forget? Not quite. I've got something you weren't expecting. Something that might explain a lot about why the Duchess of Sussex behaves the way she does in public." The footage then cut to blurred clips, cropped screenshots, and snippets of audio that, according to Morgan, had never been seen or heard by the public. Meghan's legal battles, her Netflix deals, and yes, even the infamous podcasts were teased as context. But the real kicker? Morgan claimed he had access to a hidden interview revealing the Duchess in moments of private confession, moments the public had never been allowed to see.
There was a decision taken by the palace to...
Social media erupted instantly. Clips of Morgan's teaser were shared thousands of times within minutes. Memes appeared, and hashtags like #MeghanBombshell and #MorganExposes began trending across platforms. For Meghan, this was the kind of storm every PR team fears. Every carefully crafted public statement, every Instagram post, every philanthropic spotlight was suddenly in danger of being overshadowed by whispers of private moments, now broadcast in vivid color to millions. Inside Montecito, sources say Meghan's reaction was immediate. She reportedly slammed her laptop shut as her assistants scrambled to calm her. Staff who had been prepped for routine press inquiries suddenly found themselves in triage mode, handling calls, drafting statements, and consulting lawyers in real time. One insider described it as pandemonium unlike anything we've seen before. But it wasn't just the content of the interview that upset Meghan, it was the timing. The world believed she was in control, that the Sussex brand was strong, that the narrative had finally shifted in her favor. Piers Morgan's revelation threatened to undo all of that. And it wasn't just any journalist. This was Piers Morgan, someone who had been vocally critical of her for years, someone who could take an offhand comment and turn it into a global story overnight.
Of the royal family or the monarchy, given that two of our most famous young royals have waged a 3-year war.
What made it worse, sources claim, was the precision with which Morgan framed the revelations. He didn't need to make accusations or sensationalize beyond what the clips already implied. The editing, the pauses, the strategic cuts, everything was crafted to amplify the drama, to make it feel like a personal exposé. For Meghan, watching it unfold in real time felt like a personal attack multiplied 1,000 times. The first clip that caused an uproar featured Meghan allegedly expressing frustration over her public image, how she felt misunderstood, under attack, and unappreciated despite her charitable work and her efforts to remain visible in both Hollywood and London society. Morgan didn't interpret it for the audience. He let the footage speak for itself. And speak it did. Within minutes, the internet jumped to conclusions. Critics and commentators dissected every word, every inflection, every pause. Some insisted it was proof of Meghan's vanity. Others argued it revealed a woman under relentless scrutiny, grappling with the pressures of fame and monarchy. But for Meghan, none of that mattered. What mattered was losing control of the narrative.
With the media, everything that she does, they basically lambast the.
According to sources close to the Sussexes, Meghan's first instinct was legal action. Calls were made, emails fired off, and legal teams mobilized to determine whether anything in the broadcast could be contested. But as insiders pointed out, this wasn't straightforward. Morgan had skillfully avoided direct statements that could be legally challenged. He hadn't lied. He hadn't defamed. He had simply presented private moments in a way that turned them public, and in today's media landscape, that can be just as devastating as an outright attack. Harry, meanwhile, was reportedly caught in the emotional crossfire. Sources described him as frustrated, trying to calm Meghan while managing his own media fallout. He was furious not only at Morgan, but at the fact that the narrative had once again shifted toward his wife's vulnerabilities and, by extension, toward him. The couple, who had worked tirelessly to maintain a specific public image, suddenly found themselves swept back into a swirl of speculation, criticism, and judgment. And the timing could not have been worse. The interview dropped just as Meghan was preparing to ramp up promotional efforts for a new charitable initiative and several media appearances. Sources suggest the fallout from Morgan's broadcast forced the Sussexes to delay plans, reassess their media strategy, and launch defensive PR measures. It was a domino effect crashing through their carefully curated world, leaving Meghan visibly unsettled.
Oh, really? That feels odd to me.
Insiders also claimed that Meghan's team was especially alarmed by the reaction of the broader public. Comments on social media were brutal, swinging between ridicule and shock. Memes spread faster than any press release could be drafted. Influencers and media personalities debated the implications endlessly. And as one source put it, Meghan felt the walls closing in, fully aware that in the court of public opinion, perception can be far more damaging than reality. At the heart of the storm, according to people close to her, was Meghan's overwhelming sense of betrayal. She believed that private words shared during a controlled interview would never see the light of day. Yet here they were, dissected by millions, analyzed by critics, and weaponized in ways she never anticipated. For someone who had meticulously managed every detail of her public persona, this sudden exposure was catastrophic. By the time the segment concluded, it was clear the damage had already been done. Headlines were running wild, clips were circulating across every platform, and Meghan Markle, known for her calculated poise, was caught in a rare moment of genuine, unfiltered panic. Those close to her said she was seething, pacing the room, muttering about betrayal. The palace remained officially silent, but sources suggest there was private concern about how the narrative might indirectly affect the royal brand. Even allies and supporters voiced caution. Many acknowledged the unfairness of broadcasting private moments, yet warned that in today's media environment, nothing stays private for long. Meghan's strategy of crafting and controlling the narrative had hit its toughest test yet, and Piers Morgan had delivered that test in prime time, without mercy and without compromise. By late morning, Meghan's Montecito residence had descended into controlled chaos. Legal consultations were ongoing. Media statements were drafted, rewritten, scrapped, and drafted again. Harry offered emotional support while trying to prevent a full-scale media meltdown. And Meghan, she was reportedly analyzing every angle, considering every possible response, and bracing herself for the storm that was only just beginning.
Very complicated relationship with social media, as you can probably imagine.
What insiders found most striking was Meghan's intensity. This wasn't a small PR issue. This was an existential threat to the carefully constructed image she had spent years building. A reminder that no matter how many strategic moves she made, how many public appearances she curated, or how many philanthropic endeavors she highlighted, the court of public opinion could pivot in a single broadcast. And as social media continued to erupt, one thing became painfully clear: Meghan Markle, a woman who had navigated Hollywood, royalty, and global media scrutiny with remarkable finesse, had been caught off guard completely, and she was furious. The morning after the broadcast, Montecito buzzed with tension. Meghan had barely slept, her mind racing as she replayed Piers Morgan's words again and again. Her legal team was already on edge, debating the viability of a lawsuit, the potential backlash, and the inevitable media storm that would follow any aggressive response. Every phone call, every email, every text she received reminded her of just how exposed she had suddenly become. Meanwhile, Harry did his best to remain the calm center in the eye of the storm. But insiders say he was just as rattled. He's furious, one source revealed. Not just at Piers, but at the way this is all unfolding. He feels like every step they take is scrutinized, every action second-guessed, and now Meghan's private moments are under a magnifying glass. It's overwhelming. The Sussexes had spent years meticulously curating their brand, every charity appearance, every Netflix project, every Instagram post crafted to present them as relatable, compassionate, and engaged. And now, in one swift moment, Morgan's broadcast had shredded that image, leaving them raw, vulnerable, and scrambling to regain control.
Of our royal family, of the monarchy, of everything the Queen has.
According to insiders, Meghan's first instinct was to fight back, swiftly and decisively. She called an emergency meeting with her PR team, demanding statements, rebuttals, and explanations ready within hours. She wants the narrative controlled, a source said. But this time, the story is out of her hands, and that's infuriating to her. The conversation reportedly grew heated. Meghan, known for her strategic instincts, allegedly berated her team for allowing this situation to unfold, insisting they should have anticipated Piers Morgan's move. She demanded a response that would protect her reputation, discredit the claims, and still maintain her polished, relatable persona. It was a delicate balance, and insiders say the tension in the room was palpable. Harry, watching Meghan's frustration escalate, reportedly felt a mix of concern and helplessness. He understood her desire to take control, but he also knew any overreaction would only fuel the media frenzy. He's trying to be the voice of reason, an insider revealed. But Meghan is in full crisis mode. She's not just upset, she feels cornered. And when she feels cornered, she escalates.
Nobody in Britain calls her that. Meghan Markle. She got lucky, met her prince, dragged him out of the bosom of his family.
As the day wore on, social media continued to ignite. Clips from Morgan's interview circulated endlessly, dissected by commentators, pundits, and fans. Memes multiplied. Threads on X stretched for hours. YouTube commentary exploded. Some voices were sympathetic, suggesting Meghan's words had been taken out of context. Others were merciless, painting the Duchess as vain, manipulative, or worse. For Meghan, watching the response online was like watching a wildfire spread, fascinating to outsiders, terrifying to those caught in it. Sources close to the couple described her as oscillating between rage and despair. One moment she was drafting strategic responses, the next she was retreating into private rooms, overwhelmed by the implications of the broadcast. Harry urged a measured response, but Meghan's team indicated she wanted action immediately. She's not willing to wait. She's not willing to be quiet, a source explained. The palace, officially silent, was reportedly monitoring the situation closely. Royal insiders whispered that staff were concerned about the optics and that private conversations had begun about how the fallout might indirectly affect the monarchy. Hearing this only intensified Meghan's defensiveness. She reportedly insisted she was being unfairly targeted and vowed not to let the narrative define her. By midday, a strategy began to form. Talking points for selective interviews were prepared, draft statements were written, and legal options were considered. But the biggest challenge wasn't what to say, it was when to say it. Timing is everything, a source noted. If Meghan responds too quickly, she looks reactive. Too slowly, she looks evasive. Either way, the media will twist it. Meanwhile, Harry felt the weight of the situation pressing heavily on him. Friends close to the prince said he seemed helpless, frustrated, and deeply concerned for his wife's mental and emotional well-being. He could see the exhaustion in her face, the intensity in her eyes, and the tension that filled their home.
Episode Between Two Flames. You see how that works? Why this?
As afternoon turned to evening, Meghan reportedly became more aggressive in her approach. She demanded that every media outlet sharing the clips be contacted, that each narrative be corrected, and that Piers Morgan himself be publicly challenged. Legal advisors urged restraint, warning that confronting someone like Morgan directly could backfire. But Meghan allegedly brushed aside the caution. "I will not be silenced," she reportedly told her team. Not this time. Not ever. Harry, meanwhile, tried to mediate between Meghan's instincts and reality. He emphasized that silence can sometimes be the best strategy, that not every battle needs to be fought in public. But according to those present, Meghan was adamant. Allowing Morgan to dominate the narrative without pushback was unacceptable to her. She viewed it not only as an attack on her reputation, but as a challenge to every strategic effort she had made to maintain influence, relevance, and respect. As night fell, the storm reached a fever pitch. Social media metrics surged. News outlets aired follow-ups dissecting every word, every clip, every reaction. The atmosphere in the Sussexes' Montecito home became tense, relentless, and draining. Friends of the couple described Meghan as a woman on edge, swinging between determination and frustration. When she feels attacked, she escalates, an insider said. She wants to be heard. She wants to be understood. She wants respect on her terms. And when someone like Piers Morgan threatens that, she sees it as a personal challenge she cannot ignore. Harry, witnessing her turmoil, reportedly felt torn. He wanted to support Meghan, but he also worried about the long-term implications of any reaction. The Sussexes had spent years cultivating a brand, building a narrative, fostering public sympathy. But Morgan's interview had the potential to unravel everything. "He's trying to be the voice of reason," one insider shared. But Meghan is in full defensive mode. It's a tense dynamic. By late evening, the Sussex residence had become a full-scale war room. Notes were drafted. Calls were made. Strategies debated. Legal teams weighed action. PR consultants recommended restraint, but Meghan remained unyielding, insisting on immediate engagement and public response. Harry, exhausted and frustrated, reportedly stepped back, realizing that for all his support, some battles would have to be fought on Meghan's terms. And so the day ended with no resolution, only the simmering tension of what was still to come. Piers Morgan's interview had ignited a chain reaction. For Meghan Markle, the fallout was personal, public, and inescapable. Harry stood beside her, but even he knew that navigating the storm ahead would require every ounce of strategy, patience, and resilience they possessed. One thing was clear: the battle had only just begun.